Hi, welcome to today's episode of Ask Dr. Nick. I'm Dr. Nick Schmilkoffer, and I work for the Neurologic Wellness Institute here in downtown Chicago. And this series is going to address a bunch of different topics. And today, the first question is, how can a good nutrient status, how can food and lifestyle affect our immune system? And so we're going to discuss how we can make dietary changes and lifestyle changes to improve our immune system and that ability to function. The topic of immunology and neuroimmunology is an ever-growing field. And I'm just going to discuss a paper from 2018 that gives us a few of ways that we can really look into how we can improve our immune system. And so let me share my screen here. This paper is titled Immune Function and Micronutrient Requirements and Changes Over the Course of a Lifetime. So it talks about basically from infants to elderly, how the immune function changes and how we're more immunocompromised, maybe early in life than late in life, and then what nutrient requirements we might need during that time. We won't get into much detail on some of those aspects of age, but to start, I want to just show you this initial area. So basically it says that immune function may be improved by restoring micronutrient deficiencies to the recommended levels and thereby increasing resistance to infection and supporting a fast recovery when infection. So what micronutrients are these? There's a variety. And so we have vitamin A, D, and E. Those are fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamin C, B2, B6, B12, folic acid or folate is really what is needed by the human body. Folic acid is mostly found just in plants. Folate is a better source. And those are water-soluble vitamins. And then we have iron, selenium, and zinc. And all these are important as well. And so we'll get into these later on. But first, I just want to kind of get down to one graphic that really is going to help us talk about this. So right here we have a graphic that kind of shows what can cause a compromised immune function. So this compromised immune function can be caused by a variety of factors, but the big one right here we're going to talk mostly about is suboptimal nutritional status. And so not getting enough of those nutrients can lead to a poor immune function, leading to an increase in risk of infection. And so the main cause of a suboptimal nutritional status is a poor diet. And so we really want to work on improving our diet here. And so what can cause a poor diet? A restricted diet, maybe a diet that somebody is eating less because they're trying to lose weight, or eating less or the less variety because they have an autoimmune disease. A sedentary lifestyle and obesity generally leads to a poor diet and then back from a poor diet back to this sedentary lifestyle and obesity. The fast food, so eating fast food or energy dense foods, basically high caloric foods that then are going to be micronutrient poor. We eat a lot of this. This is basically processed foods. And so Americans in general eat about 60% of their calories from processed foods. That may be refined grains, refined carbs like pretzels, maybe refined sugars or processed sugars that are added in our favorite protein bars or other snacks. And then processed oils like vegetable oils, canola oil. These oils are generally help to make processed foods last longer, but then also many restaurants use these oils to cook in, and they're not very good for us. And so this is a big one. And of course, what causes eating like this is generally a hectic and stressful lifestyle. We're stressed if we don't know how to cook, if we don't have time to cook, we generally eat more of these foods. And then lastly, low income status or lack of just fresh, nutritious foods. This is a big one. And so we really want to find a way to eat more nutritious foods, even with a lack of ability to buy as many nutritious foods because of low income. It's better to kind of invest in your health now and invest by feeding yourself with the most nutritious foods, because then down the road you won't have as many problems with immune function or problems with health, where then you're going to need to pay for higher medical bills possibly. So this is a big one that has a lot of controversy still, but eating nutritious foods is much better as well than taking a lot of nutritional supplements. Supplements can cost a lot of money, and we don't really want to get these micronutrients that we're going to talk about from supplements. And so all these things can lead to a poor diet, lead to suboptimal nutritional status, and then leading to compromised immune function. Other things are over here on the right side. So pollution, maybe living in a big city, cigarette smoke versus whether it's firsthand or secondhand, chronic stress, whether it be from a job or work or maybe unemployment during this time, sleep deprivation or sleep disturbances. So if we're not sleeping enough, or if we just have poor quality sleep or irregular sleep, where we're going to bed late, waking up late, we should generally try to stick to a good sleep schedule to help improve our immune function. Excessive alcohol consumption can also really lower our immune system's ability to fight off infection. At the same time, a lot of alcohol is going to add more calories, leading to this more obese, sedentary lifestyle, and more calories generally leads to a less nutritious diet. And so therefore, it's kind of this like loop that if we're drinking too much, we're not really getting our nutrient-dense foods in order to improve our ability to fight off infections. And excessive alcohol can also lead to some sleep disturbances as well. And then lastly, prolonged or excessive exercise. Basically, we want to exercise, we want to keep moving, but if we exercise too much and burn out our tissues, a lot of times repair and our nutrients goes to repair of our muscles and joints versus actually improving our immune system. So we don't want to overwork either. So these are many things that can help improve an immune function if we fix them. But if we don't, then a lot of times we can have an increased risk of infection. So now let's go back up and just kind of talk about each one of these minerals and vitamins and nutrients and where we can get them from. So we're going to go up to here. So we'll start on the top. We'll start with vitamin C. And so vitamin C helps improve multiple things in both the innate and the adaptive immune system. The innate immune system is kind of like our ability to fight non-specifically against infections, and that is important for like barriers. So basically preventing infections from actually getting into us. And it's very non-specific with some cells as well, versus the adaptive immunity. The adaptive immunity here is more for specific immunity. This is how vaccines work. This is how herd immunity works. We basically get introduced to a virus, and then we have specific memory of how to fight this virus. And then therefore we have immunity against it later. And so to start, we'll start with just vitamin C. And vitamin C has been known to be really important for the immune system, and mostly because it has these NK cell activities. And so this just improves the ability to fight off viruses. Vitamin C you can mostly get from a lot of plant sources like rose hips and peppers and thyme, parsley, kale and broccoli, and then of course citrus fruits as well. And so vitamin C can be those can be a good sources of vitamin C in your diet, along with meat and organ meats can give us a good amount of vitamin C as well. Vitamin D is also important for the innate immune system, and we know we get it from the sun, and that is definitely the best source. But if you're in a northern latitude right now, maybe a better source would be getting it actually in a supplement form. This might be the only one that I would say you should maybe take a supplement for if you're not getting a lot of activity or a lot of exposure to the sun. The other thing you can do is eat more animal fats. Animal fats like grass-fed butter has a lot of vitamin D. Vitamin A. Vitamin A, this is mostly retinol vitamin A, not beta carotene. Beta carotene is more of what's in plants like carrots. That's more of an antioxidant. Vitamin A retinol is really important for the structural and functional integrity of cells. And so it helps protect our cells in the skin, our cells in our respiratory tract from an infection. And so this retinol is, again, you can't really get it from plant sources, but you can really get a good amount from organ meats. And I know organ meat sounds a little weird, but like liver has a very high source of vitamin A. What else has good sources of vitamin A would be grass-fed butter. It has to be grass-fed. And then salmon, tuna, some cheeses, egg yolks are going to have a good amount. Again, it's a fat-soluble vitamin, so you got to eat a fattier type of food. Vitamin E is also a fat-soluble vitamin. This one is also higher in those animal fats, fatty fish. Avocados have a good amount of vitamin E as well. Vitamin B6, this is pyridoxine. This is also pretty high in animal foods, liver, beef, eggs, yogurt, but it's also higher in sweet potatoes. So sweet potatoes have a good amount of B6. B12. B12 has a lot of important functions with those natural killer cells again, and B12 can only be found in red meat, in animal protein. You can't really get any kind of vitamin B12 from plants. Your body doesn't absorb it very well, so you want to eat a good amount of animal foods, or again, take it in a supplement if you really need to. Folate is, again, good with these natural killer cells, and folate is, again, in some animal foods, but it's actually higher in many plants. For instance, like asparagus, legumes, broccoli, leafy greens. But at the same time, as I mentioned before, folic acid is mostly in those forms. And so your body has to convert this folic acid into folate. Versus if you're getting it from red meat and eggs, you're going to get more folate in what is the higher form, or the better form, a more absorbable, usable form. And then we have these minerals. So we have zinc, iron, copper, and selenium. Zinc works with that vitamin A to help with that skin and mucosal membrane integrity. Zinc is very high in meat and shellfish, mussels, and so there's a good source. Iron is also important for the immune system. And again, iron is good in shellfish, in organ meats, red meats. It's pretty high in spinach and also some pumpkin seeds. You have copper as well here, which we didn't really talk about copper above. And then you have selenium. Selenium is pretty high in all meats, fish, pork, beef, chicken, but it's also pretty high in Brazil nuts and some mushrooms. So selenium is also really important for those natural killer cells. As you can see, we didn't talk much about the adaptive immunity, but innate immunity really helps us kind of fight off those initial infections. So what can we do? Basically, back to the start is the best thing we can do for increasing and improving our immune function is going to be eat a healthy diet that has high nutrient foods, and a lot of those come from animal fats and animal protein. You can get it from other plants, but generally it's not as bioavailable. And then lastly, you can get those from supplements, but it's not the best form, especially if you're going to be just supplementing a poor diet. So besides eating a good diet, we don't want to eat a lot of the refined carbohydrates, oils, and sugar, but then we also would rather stay moving, keep getting outside, get in the sun, exercise, but don't exercise too much, and avoid excess alcohol consumption. So those are the main things that we can do to improve our immune function and giving us a robust immune system so that we can fight off any infections in our life. So thank you for listening to today's episode on Ask Dr. Nick. I encourage you to ask me questions, comments, and give me any additional topics for future use and future questions and future videos. So really appreciate it. Have a great day and stay healthy.